Hey everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today we're going to be checking one of the breeder queens that we have. I've gotten a lot of questions on it in the comment section, and I try to respond to as many as I can, but I haven't been doing that great at it, so sorry about that. But we're just going to do an update on it and see how they're looking. I actually haven't checked them in a while. Probably the last video I did was the last time I looked at them. But about probably like a week or so ago, it probably was longer than that actually. Maybe like 2 or so weeks, we put it into a 10 frame. My dad actually did that. So we'll see if he did it right, because he can't usually do it right. But we're just gonna check it, see how it's looking. Today I'm gonna use the Apisalis, I think is how you say it. I did a video on this a little while back, and if you wanna check that out, if you're thinking about buying it, go right ahead. I know a lot of people talked about the price of it, and I do completely understand that, but I will say one of the nice things about it is on a day like today when I'm just going through and maybe checking 1 or 2 hives. I don't really want to start a smoker, but I can't go through the hives without it because they might be mean or whatever it is. It's nice to have something like this where it just takes 3 pumps and then it's started and it's ready to go. So I will say that's really nice about it. So now it's on. And then I'm good to go. So I literally just pulled it off of the shelf and brought it out here, and it's really quick and easy and portable. I've been using it for a lot of the yards. Whenever I go to a different yard, maybe I'm just doing a little bit of feeding, but I want some type of smoke. Having that is just really nice. So anyways, back to this, or anywho, we are bringing that back. We're just gonna check to see what they're looking like. I know originally I did a video on it, and I kind of talked about how our pattern wasn't the best, and they weren't building up a whole lot. But then I had come back a couple weeks later and it looked like she was actually doing a little bit better. So that's why we went ahead and put them into a 10 frame, because we were going to be out of town for a little while, and also it just looked like they were building up. And whenever you're going to go out of town for even just a couple days, you want to go through your hives and just check to make sure, especially this time of the year when it's just, the season is crazy, you just want to make sure that they have plenty of space before you leave. I know some people talk about how it can be hard to travel with bees. And not that I disagree, but a little bit, just because I feel like if you do go through them ahead of time and prepare them, you can travel for up to a couple weeks, even in the middle of busy season, just as long as you're giving them plenty of space. So anyway, I'm just gonna give them a little bit of smoke here. I'm curious to see how our pattern is looking, and then if it's good, I'm probably gonna give them some feed today also. So that looks like it's mostly foundation. So let's actually pull that out. I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't really built any of it out yet. So they haven't really touched that, maybe just slightly. Now, I do want to, hopefully soon, like within the next week, which is what we've been saying for the last 2 weeks, is grafting off of them, because I want to graft before it's too late, and I also want to graft just so that we have it in case any of these queens don't end up making it through winter or whatever happens. We'll still have some grafts from them. So I'm going to try to do that hopefully soon, within the next week. That way we have it. Grafting this late in the year can be a little bit tricky, but it should be okay. So we're going to do that just to make sure we have them. If you don't know, this is a breeder queen from Corey Stevens. It's VSH, Varroa Sensitive Hygienics, or Hygiene, whatever it is. I don't know a whole lot on it, but I have a lot of videos with Corey. If you want to check it out, I always talk about Corey in most of my talks and sometimes on YouTube, but he's just a really smart guy, but you would never know it. I'm kidding. But we got some of these breeders a while back, I don't know when it was, and I did a video on it when we got them. It's just a really cool experience to watch it and then bring them back to your apiary and put them into your hives. So I'm really thankful for that. But that's kind of the background story to these, if you're wondering. VSH is getting to be a lot more popular, I guess, yeah, I don't know. And I can see why. Now, I am going to feed them with a pollen patty today, I think. So it's not the best pattern again. It's a little shotgunny is what I usually say. It's not just like solid. Now, I wouldn't ever blame any of it on Corey because I know it's a very difficult thing to do, and especially after I've watched how they do it. Inseminating queens is what happened here, is what this queen came from. After seeing that, you never really blame the person who did it because, I mean, there's so many different things that can go wrong. So if they just don't end up working out, that's all right. We'll try again another time, but this isn't bad. Looks like she's laid most of it though. There's eggs in there. See, now I wouldn't be able to really say what's going on, but the larva, like, it almost looks like they're cleaning it out. So I don't know if this is some uncapping that's happened and they're pulling it out or what. But that's one thing about VSH is they'll go through and uncap it and then they'll pull it out if it's bad or something along those lines. I know Corey has some in the videos that I've done, he talks about it. But it almost looks like that's what's happening here, especially up in here. Like, I don't know if you can see that larva, but it almost looks maybe dead. The camera's not probably gonna get it very well, but I am noticing that, so I don't know. That is really cool though, just to see that maybe it is working a little bit. Okay, so speaking of beetles, this one's going up my shirt. I was going to talk about that here at the end, just with the whole pollen patties and everything. It is like peak of beetle season, and it's so stupid. We've never really had problems with it. They're usually not that bad, but this year's been really bad. I know, who was it? Was it Bruce? It might have been Bruce. He was having problems with it this year, maybe it was last year, I don't remember, but he's completely different location from us. But I just have heard that it's been a little worse this year, and I don't know why. But I don't really want to feed a pollen patty when it's really bad, just because that's usually where they're going to be. Like, after you start feeding pollen, they'll go into that patty and just sit in there, and then sometimes when you take them off, there's just like 10 of them. So I don't want to encourage it too much, so that's why I'm probably just going to give them half today. So this is all laid up, it's all larva, it looks really good. I'm hoping to actually find her, so that's why I'm still looking through. I can't remember which number it is. I feel like it might be 17. Hopefully we're going to find out, but so far it's not looking too good. I haven't done an actual hive inspection in a little bit, actually. It's been mostly extracting and pulling honey. We're finally getting to the end. I'll have an extracting video out really soon, hopefully.
Lots of changes.
Yeah. Might be blind, I'm not sure. Let's check one more. I mean, there's only one left. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if I missed her because I was talking and not paying a whole lot of attention. But she's got a really bright dot on her, so I don't know how I missed that. They're not too aggressive. I know I've talked about that before, that VSH can usually be aggressive. What? Oh, is she? Oh, there she is. I mean, even the camera person spotted it, so it is a very bright. It's 17. She looks good. She's all the way on the outside. I don't like to have her out for very long. Like most queens, I'll just keep them out and sometimes set them aside or whatever it is. But with these VSH ones, I don't like to have them out very long. I don't know, I just don't trust myself. So I'm going to put her back in very carefully and make sure not to smush her. I should treat all of our queens that way, but I don't. I'm going to give them a little bit of smoke here. But yeah, back to being aggressive. I don't think they're that bad. I mean, they might be a little bit like touchy. Like they're just kind of hitting it a little bit, but they're not, they get on my fingers and everything, but they're not like stinging or whatever. It's just like they're almost curious, which I know Corey's talked about that before. And I mean, that's perfectly fine. As long as they're not stinging you, I wouldn't say they're that aggressive. And I've had worse hives where, I mean, the second you open them up, they're just on you. So I really don't think it's that bad. And I have gotten into these before without a veil on. I think I did a video on it and I accidentally forgot my veil and I didn't have any issues. So if that says anything, I know just some of our hives I would never allow that because I would never get away with it, but I'm just gonna put this back together and then feed them, I think, just to give them a little boost, feed them some syrup. We're not doing any supers right now. I don't have anything on. We've pulled pretty much everything. So I can feed now. We've been feeding a good bit, especially just on some of the late nukes that we made. They were like, I don't even remember what they were. They were small nukes that we didn't really do early in the season. It was later in the season and they weren't doing the best. So we've been feeding those quite a bit just to build them up a little bit. But I'm just gonna give them a pollen patty here. I don't even know. These are from Global Patties, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't remember where we got these. It might have been Expo.
It was the Expo.
Okay, I think it was. They're still good. We've had them in the freezer, so they've been thawing for a little bit and they're good to go now. I'm just gonna do half though. So I'm gonna cut it. Because like I said, I don't want to encourage those beetles. So we're just gonna do half of it. Sometimes if you give them a whole one, they can't really take care of it fully. I don't really know what happens there, but they don't pay attention to it. So I'm just gonna give them half. I do like to peel off one side just to give them a head start, and this will just end up being out in front. So I'm just gonna give them that, and then I just lay it right on top there. That should be good. This part, I wasn't really gonna do it on camera, but we're gonna do it anyways. It's just some syrup here that we've had for a little while. Can't remember what we put in this. I don't think it was Hive Alive. It was something along those lines. So it actually doesn't smell bad. It smells pretty good. But I have this. I think it's just, I don't even know what it is. It might be 1 to 1 maybe. I don't know. I'm just doing what I was told. So, but with these frame feeders, they can be difficult to feed. If you have like some type of watering can, that's what I would recommend. We do have those. I just didn't bring it with me today. So I just pour it. It's easier to do it from the side. I'm not gonna fill it up all the way. I'm just gonna do like half, not even. Probably about that much. So a little less than half there. And a lot of people ask about drowning. There are these little ladders on the side, but I haven't noticed that they do anything. So if you have any sticks laying around, that's what I would recommend putting in there. So I'm just gonna throw some of these in there. It'll kind of give them something to float on. The drowning is not too bad this time of the year just because it's warmer. I've noticed if it's kind of cold outside, they do tend to drown in there. I don't know all what happens there. I think it's just once the syrup's a little chilly and then they drink that. I don't really know. But this time of the year, the feeders seem to do pretty well. Especially if you have like a decent hive, like they're strong enough, then they should take it perfectly fine. It shouldn't be a problem. You can take like pieces of wood too that you have laying around, maybe from a project that you did or whatever, and just cut those up into small pieces. With that, you only need to put like 2 pieces in because they're a little bit bigger. With these, I like to put a good bit. So that's in there, so they'll use those to float on and get to that syrup, so hopefully it kind of helps them from not drowning too much. There's also, we do have a bucket lid on, so we might do that, but right now we're just doing frame feeding and it works pretty good. I think that's all. So now I know another thing about beetles, people ask like in the shade or in the sun if there's a difference. I didn't really see, I think I saw one beetle that was actually on me and not even in the hive. And these girls are kind of in the shade. So I don't know a whole lot about the difference there. There's another one, but we'll just squish that, pretend like we didn't see it. I think that's all. So we have some others I'm gonna go ahead and check today and maybe do some feeding. Here's that push-in cage that we use for this hive. This seemed to work pretty well, so I would recommend doing that. We had some difficulty adding them just with some balling, and I don't know what happened there, but eventually we got there. So I think they're doing good. I'm gonna hope to put them into a double before winter. That's not always ideal, but I would like to have them in doubles before, just because it kind of gives them a little bit of a better success, hopefully, going into winter, but we'll just see what happens. So we'll continue to feed them if they need it and just keep building them up a little bit. Looks like she's doing good. She's at least laying and the pattern looks okay. It's getting a little bit better. So that's your update on the breeder queen. We'll do another update in a couple weeks if anybody wants it. But I think that's all for today's video. So thanks for watching. Follow along more bee adventures and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.